Hello everyone, I am the Lexo623 and here's another video from me. It's Tarantino month, and seeing as how it's Tarantino month, we're reviewing Tarantino movies, obviously. So what are we reviewing for today's video? Pulp Fiction, starring Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta, and Uma Thurman. Now, this film is probably one of Tarantino's most popular movies. And it's not difficult to see why. It has big names, it's pretty good script, and yeah, it's a pretty good movie overall. So, without further ado, let's read the plot synopsis. Alright. Critics and audiences worldwide hailed Pulp Fiction as the star-studded picture that redefined cinema in the 20th century. Writer-director Quentin Tarantino delivers an unforgettable cast of characters, including a pair of low-rent hitmen, John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, their boss's sexy wife, Uma Thurman, and a desperate prizefighter, Bruce Willis, in a wildly entertaining and exhilarating motion picture adventure that thrills and amuses. So that was the plot synopsis, and I didn't really tell you anything, so I will tell you. So there's basically, I guess, 4 stories going on in this film. Number 1 is the restaurant robbery with Ringo and Yolanda, who in the film are actually credited as what they call each other in the opening scene, not by their actual names. So then another story is Jules Winfield's and Vincent Vega's, where they're basically, they track down this guy who messed with Marcellus Wallace, and they kill him and get the briefcase back. Another story is where Vincent Vega is taking Mia Wallace out to a restaurant. But then I'll talk about it later. And then the 4th story it involves Bruce Willis, who plays Butch Coolidge. It's basically about him after he didn't throw a match that Marcellus Wallace paid him to throw, so he's basically trying to get away from the guy. And they end up running into each other, and a lot of stuff happens. So let's go through the character list, one by one, tell you what I think of them. John Travolta as Vincent Vega. Vincent Vega is a pretty great character. He is a hitman that was hired by Marcellus Wallace. And also there's some stuff that happens to him in both of his plots. For example, in the first one, what happens is they get the briefcase and shoot the guy that messed with Marcellus Wallace, and then a guy comes out of the bathroom and shoots at them, and all the bullets miss. Which I will talk about later when I get to Jules Winfield. And in his other plot, he and Mia Wallace are on a date that his boss requested him to take her out on, which Mia Wallace is Marcellus Wallace's wife. So, yeah. So, basically, another thing happens that I'll talk about when I get to Mia Wallace. Okay, Jules Winfield. Okay, so he is a pretty great character as well. Um, so let's talk about it. So, Jules, basically his part in the story is that he ends up, when they shoot the guy that messed with Marcellus Wallace, then the guy comes out and shoots at them, and all the bullets miss. So he keeps saying that it is a sign of God, and Vincent Vega is like, no, it's not. It happens, but it's not a sign of God. So yeah, but then later when Vincent Vega shoots the guy that they got from that apartment, Marvin, in the face, they have to go to Jimmy, played by none other than Quentin Tarantino himself. They have to go to Jimmy's house and basically clean it up. And that's where Winston Wolfe comes in. So I'm going to skip Uma Thurman for a second and go straight to Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel plays Winston Wolfe, who basically Marcellus Wallace gets to help them clean up the mess that Vincent Vega made by shooting Marvin in the face. Man, I'm coughing today a lot. So, Winston Wolfe is basically like a really good professional, and when he wants something done, he wants it done. So, yeah, that's all pretty well and good, so. Okay, so let's move on to Mia Wallace and her part in this movie. So, Mia Wallace is played by Uma Thurman, who is also in Kill Bill, which we will get to, I think, next week. So basically, Mia Wallace is Marcellus Wallace's wife, and apparently, there's like a rumor going around that, that Marcellus Wallace threw a guy out of a window because he gave Mia Wallace a foot massage. So, she says that that's not the reason why, and she doesn't even know why he threw the guy out the window. So, yeah. But later, what happens is she ends up snorting heroin, thinking that it's cocaine, and she obviously overdoses. They say ODing in the movie. So she overdoses, and then Vincent Vega has to take her to this guy's house, and they have to give her an insulin shot. And yeah. So now let's move on to Ringo, played by Tim Roth. He is in one of the other plots where he and Yolanda are robbing a restaurant. But then they find out that they shouldn't have messed with this restaurant because one of the people in it is, well, Jules Winfield. So what they do is they go around and they're like collecting everyone's wallet, and when they get to Jules Winfield, Ringo asks to see what's in the briefcase. So then Jules Winfield points a gun at him, and then they're yelling, and then he's talking about how they need to be cool. The way he puts it is, we need to be a bunch of Fonzies. And what's Fonzie like? So, anyway, enough rambling. So, Ringo, basically what happens is Jules ends up giving him the money in his wallet, but keeps the wallet and the briefcase. And tells Ringo and Yolanda to go home. I'm not going to talk about Yolanda because she's pretty much just with Ringo. So, now the last character. Butch Coolidge, played by Bruce Willis. So basically he's a boxer who is paid by Marcellus Wallace to throw a fight. But he says, you know what? I'm not gonna throw that fight. So then he ends up killing the guy that he was fighting. And yeah, that happens. And then he goes to his house and finds out that his watch is missing. And his watch, like, there's a scene where, like, after his father, who was in the military, died, his father's friend, Captain Coons, goes to him and delivers him his birthright, his, I think, great-grandfather's watch. So he ends up having to go back to his house from the apartment to look for his watch. And after he gets his watch, he sees Vincent Vega there and shoots him. And then also another thing that happens is after he's on his way back to the apartment, he runs into Marcellus Wallace, quite literally, and then they start fighting and end up in this store where he's like about to shoot him, and then this guy who owns the store knocks him out. So then he gets his friend Zed to come over, and they do some messed up stuff. And basically Bruce Willis, like, kills the guys. Well, he doesn't kill Zed, but Zed is pretty much dead. So then when he goes back, when he gets out, he steals Zed's chopper along with his keys, and, well, he basically just goes home. And then when he gets home, his, I think, girlfriend, either girlfriend or wife, I don't remember, asks him, oh, whose motorcycle is this? It's not a motorcycle, baby, it's a chopper. Whose chopper is this? It's Zed's. Who's Zed? Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. Which, chronologically, is the last line. But because it's a Tarantino movie, well, earlier Tarantino movie, the story is not in order. So it's basically like a puzzle that we get to put together piece by piece. And it's a puzzle in the sense that it's, like, not told chronologically. And it does... it makes the movie a puzzle a lot better than the Saw franchise does, with all its flashbacks and stuff. Saw's flashbacks, not Pulp Fiction's. So, Pulp Fiction has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I can see why. It is a great movie, and it is one of Tarantino's best. In fact, it is my second favorite Tarantino movie. We will get to my favorite eventually. But, anyway, this is the Lexo63, signing off.